14 felony counts, her real name on the indictment, and the reason it all started was sitting in that courtroom too. He just wasn't charged. What you are about to see is not the version the blogs covered. This is the court record. People versus Belcalis Almanzar, Queens County Supreme Court, filed October 2019, 14 counts, 2 of them felonies. And buried inside those documents is the name of the man who started all of this, without ever facing a single charge. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what each charge said, exactly what deal she signed to walk free, and exactly what Offset admitted years later that proves why this case existed in the first place.
The night it happened, it started with a name, Rachel Watley, a bartender working at Angel's Gentlemen's Club in Queens, New York. August 2018, Cardi B believed Watley had been sleeping with Offset. That belief became a decision. That decision became a criminal case. Here's what the prosecution said happened. Cardi B arrived at Angel's Gentlemen's Club that night with a plan already in motion. She had paid a woman named Tawana Jackson Morrell $5,000. That payment was not for a service, it was for an attack. Tawana Jackson Morrell and a man named Jeffrey Bush carried out the assault on Rachel Watley inside that club. But Cardi B did not stop there. She also threw liquor bottles directly at Watley and Watley's sister. Most people heard about this and moved on. Celebrity drama, club fight, next story. But here's what most people do not understand about what that $5,000 payment actually meant under the law. When you pay someone to commit a crime, you are not a bystander. Under New York criminal law, the person who gave the order and the person who carried it out carry equal legal responsibility. This is called criminal conspiracy and criminal facilitation. It does not matter that Cardi B did not land the first hit. What matters is that she paid $5,000 to make sure someone else did. That payment is what turned a club altercation into a felony indictment. And that is exactly what the Queens County District Attorney built 14 counts on. That is not a rumor. That is the law. And the court record shows she admitted to it in open court under her real name.
She went by her real name, Belcalis Almanzar, and admitted to ordering an attack against a woman named Rachel Watley, who worked as a bartender at the Angel's Gentlemen's Club in Queens. Cardi B admitted to paying $5,000 to her co-defendant, Tawana Jackson Morrell, to pull off the attack.
She admitted she ordered the attack. The $5,000 was on record. Her government name was in the court file. This was not a blog post. This was a woman standing inside a Queens County courtroom confirming exactly what the prosecution charged her with. Now the question becomes, how do you admit to ordering a felony assault and still walk out of that courthouse without a single day in prison? The court record. The case was filed in October 2019. Queens County Supreme Court, the official name on the documents, People versus Belcalis Almanzar. 14 counts. That is not a typo. 14 separate criminal charges filed against one person. 2 of those 14 counts were felonies, attempted assault in the first degree. That is not a minor charge. First degree assault in New York carries a potential sentence of up to 25 years in state prison. The remaining counts included reckless endangerment and misdemeanor assault. Her co-defendants, Tawana Jackson Morrell and Jeffrey Bush, were charged separately for their physical roles in the attack. Now here's what most people do not understand about how a case with 14 counts becomes 15 days of community service. A plea deal is a legal negotiation between the prosecution and the defense. The prosecution agrees to reduce the charges in exchange for a guaranteed guilty plea. The defendant avoids trial and knows exactly what their sentence will be. In New York, prosecutors resolve the vast majority of criminal cases this way, without ever stepping in front of a jury. For the defendant, the benefit is certainty. For the prosecution, the benefit is a conviction on record. In this case, the prosecution took 14 counts, including 2 felonies, and reduced them down to 2 misdemeanors, third-degree assault and reckless endangerment. That reduction is what made everything that followed legally possible. On September 15, 2022, nearly 4 years after the night at Angel's Gentlemen's Club, Belcalis Almanzar entered her guilty plea in Queens Criminal Court. The terms: 15 days of community service, no jail time, no probation, and a 3-year order requiring her to stay away from Rachel Watley and her sister. Her own attorney stood on the steps of Queens Criminal Court that same day and said exactly what had just happened.
Yeah, there were 12 charges, including felonies. To go from that to a sentence that there's no probation, and it's just doing community service that she's committed to doing anyway. So we feel that it's a great resolution. But we also think it's a resolution that contemplates the person that she is over 4 years later.
12 charges, including felonies, community service only. That same day, Cardi B released a written statement. She wrote, "Part of growing up and maturing is being accountable for your actions. These moments don't define me, and they are not reflective of who I am now. Accountability." That was the word she chose. On the same day, she pleaded guilty to charges that existed because of one man's decisions. That man was not in that courtroom. He was not charged. He did not face a single count. So what did he have to say about all of it?
Man in the middle.
On September 15th, 2022, The same day Cardi B stood in Queens criminal court and pleaded guilty, Offset was not in that building. He was not charged. His name was not on the indictment. The case was People versus Belcalis Almanzar, not Kiara Kendall Cephas, not Offset, her. But here's the timeline that the headlines never laid out in sequence. August 2018, the night at Angels Gentlemen's Club happened because Cardi B believed Offset was sleeping with Rachel Watley. That belief drove the $5,000 payment. That payment drove the 14 counts. Those 14 counts drove 4 years of court appearances, legal fees, and public humiliation. All of it traced back to one man's behavior in a relationship. And 3 years after her plea, sitting across from Keke Palmer in October 2025, that man finally said it out loud.
I should have respected her way more. You know what I mean? I made bad decisions as a man, like stepping out, like, gotta take that on the chin. Like, that's why when she left, I had to take that on the chin. Cause like, I could have been we got so much our kids to live for. I was being selfish, you know what I mean? And I can say that as a man, I'm a grown man.
Stepping out, his words, not a rumor, not a blog post, not an unnamed source. The man himself on camera confirming what a Queens County courtroom spent 4 years processing the consequences of. Now here is what this moment reveals about accountability and how it distributes unevenly in real life. Accountability is not always shared equally between the people who create a situation and the people who react to it. In this case, 2 people were inside the same relationship. One person made a decision that caused the other person to believe she had been disrespected. The person who felt disrespected made a criminal choice and faced 14 counts for it. The person whose behavior created the conditions for that choice faced 0 counts, 0 court dates, 0 community service hours. This is not a legal argument. The law does not charge someone for causing their partner emotional pain, but it is a human accounting. But when you look at who paid the price in this case and who did not, the ledger does not balance. Cardi B filed for divorce in August 2024. As of October 2025, the divorce had not been finalized. She served her community service hours, she completed her stay-away order, she moved forward, he did a podcast and called it Stepping Out. Cardi B walked into a Queens courtroom and said she was accountable. She used that word herself in her written statement. She completed every term of her plea, but accountability requires a full picture. And the full picture of this case includes a man who spent years saying nothing, and then sat down in front of a camera and confirmed in 2 sentences what 14 felony counts were built on. Accountability is real. Where does it start?